Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome to another flight in the world's largest aircraft. Today we're going to fly the Antonov 225 from Frankfurt towards Warsaw, and this promises to be quite an interesting flight here, seeing that I'm still not all that too experienced with the Antonov, even though I'm doing my very best over here. So let's go right into it and have a look into the flight plan and see what we're about to do on today's flight. As always, I'm using Sim Toolkit Pro for viewing the flight plans, and this time I promise that I'm going to remove the charts from the view before we start taxi. I promise. Okay, so here's the plan. We are going to be the Antonov Bureau 3620 from Frankfurt towards Warsaw, and we'll plan a flight of 350. We're going to transport 180 tons of cargo today, so that is going to be, well, probably one of the biggest loads of cargo ever transported. However, for the Antonov 225, it's not actually that much of a challenge. Having a look into the weather forecast, over at Frankfurt it's going to be good, and it looks like we will be using runway 25 today, and over in Warsaw it's CAF 0 degrees and becoming a westerly wind. The forecast for the thunderstorms that we can see down here, or for the CBs at least, is for tomorrow, so for today we expect CAF conditions. And looking at our alternate airport, over the course of the evening we are going to get some light snow showers and rain over there, but all in all still flyable conditions, and some light snow coming in over the night, but that's going to be well beyond our arrival time. So with all of that, I would say we can make our fuel decision, and looking into the route that's been planned by SimBrief, we have the entire arrival transition in here already, so I do expect quite good conditions, and I don't expect a lot of delay on top of the filed route. That means we can decide on the fuel over here to take 44 tons of fuel, and since I'm not so familiar with the Antonov yet, let's just take 5 tons more. That should be something like 20 minutes, so we can take something like 49 tons of fuel, and that should be a good number to fly with. So let's see what that's gonna be then. 49 tons of fuel, let's go into the EFB and calculate that. Converter, we need 49 tons, and that becomes 108,000 pounds. So with that we can go ahead and load up the airplane. 108,000 pounds means 54,000 pounds per wing. And that is quite a bit of fuel for such a short route, isn't it? However, for the Antonov, it's only 16% of the total possible loads. So looking into the payload page then, gross weight is going to be 514.5 tons. Alright. On top of that, let's take a couple of passengers along as well that are going to accompany the cargo. Apply that now, it's 516.5 tons. Okay, looks like a very good weight to me. Oopsie. Still needs a little bit of getting used to when the plane just kneels down to start loading the cargo. But let's just head outside and have a look at what that actually looks like. This is quite an amazing sight up here, isn't it? Seeing how huge that cargo hold is and the kind of stuff that we can fit into this airplane. Amazing if you ask me. Absolutely amazing plane. Okay, so let's go right back into the cockpit and see where we are gonna go. So, as always, lesson number 1, turn on the airplane. By now I would say that I've gotten fairly familiar with it. We're going to use the ground power today. So I slowly tend to say that I am mastering the standard operating procedures of the plane up here. We're gonna leave the APU off for now. We can switch that on a little bit later since Frankfurt is noise sensitive. Okay, that's that stuff, and finally the stuff on the pilot's panels as well, and then we've got the airplane powered up. Transponder 2000 standard, and let's see how busy it actually is in Frankfurt. Let's go ahead and call for ATC clearance straight away, so that in case they are slotting, we get our place in the queue. So that's going to be 118.025 for our IFR clearance.
feet, temperature 6, 2.1, QNH 1021, trend, Nozick, Frankfurt information kilo, out, Frankfurt information kilo, Met report time 1750 Zulu, expect independent parallel ILS approach runway 25 left and ILSY approach runway 25 right, departure runways in use 25 center and 18. Expect radar vectoring, GLS approach on request. Do not mistake Twimic for runway 25 center when performing visual approach. Transition level 60. Wind 260 degrees 7 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers clouds. View at 2,500 feet. Overcast 3,900 feet. Temperature 6, 2.1. QNH 1021. Trend, Nozick. Frankfurt information kilo. Out.
Okay, so we have information kilo on board. And let's go ahead and get our IFR clearance.
Startup approved, hold position for push 121850.
Startup approved, hold position for pushback 8.11850, welcome ship Susi, schönen Abend.
Frankfurt delivery, schönen Abend, Antonov Bureau 3620 Super, information kilo, request clearance to Warsaw.
Antonov 3620, hello, no flight plan.
Roger, we'll call Kiev again and check. Okay, I did pre-file that flight, but I've just refiled the flight plan. Let's see what's gonna happen now. And 737NG123 is asking, VATSIM, wow, that's brave in this Soviet plane. Nah, it's an airplane, it can fly. I'm sure we can do this. Antonov Bureau 3620, have you received the flight plan?
3620, I'm confirmed ready.
Ready to copy?
Actually, Antonov 3620, call you back.
Okay, he's gonna call us back. Well, that's fine enough for me. Cargo loading should be finished by now, so let's go ahead and close that door. By the way, I've set this to the fast option for the I've set it to the fast option for the door closure, so that should be alright. Then, why don't we just about use the time to start preparing our cockpit a little bit more. The present weather in Frankfurt is showing us a QNH of 1021, so let's go ahead and convert that into what we need. So 766 millimeters on the primary altimeter, and then 1021 and 76. Antonov 3620 for pushback, we need 3 minutes, but we're ready, copy clearance.
Antonov 3620, info Lima, cleared to Warsaw via Zulus 2 Foxtrot departure out of 25 center, flight planned route, flight rise at 5,000 feet, squawk 1000.
Antonov 3620, cleared to Warsaw via the Zulus 2 Foxtrot departure on May 25 center, flight planned route, climb 5,000 feet, squawk 1000.
Correct.
Okay. So, the nose is being lifted. Let's go ahead and start up our APU. The heaters are off. Fire detector on, master switch on, and APU starter pressed. The same on the opposite side. And now the APU should slowly be starting up. And indeed it is. Okay, so let's get GSX ready. We want to be starting our pushback rather soon, and the reason I want to do that is because I will enter the stuff in the GPS as the engines start up, in order not to waste too much of our precious time up here. But we're gonna get this thing flying in a few moments. Want to request pushback? Yes, please. So, apart from that, we've got a squawk of 1000. Let's go ahead and select that. Squawk 1000, we can already set it to alt on, and we climb initially to altitude 5000 feet, so that's 1524 meters. So we're just going to set 1500 meters initially.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
Hello there. Confirmed. Doors hatches closed. Ground equipment removed, and bypass pin is installed. Okay, so as soon as the doors are closed, we are going to be ready for the pushback. Kai is asking, would this be classed as a study level simulation? No, not at all. This is a fun airplane to fly, but it is far from study level. Okay, so
locking gear.
Hydraulic pumps going off. That is necessary for the start of the engines, or rather for the start of the pushback. APU is operating, so APU bleed on. Ground power can go off. APU generators are on bus, and with that we are basically ready for pushback. Antonov 3620 Super request startup.
Antonov 3620 start approved for position for push apron 121 950. Tschüss.
Startup approved 121 950 Antonov 3620 Super. Bye bye.
Fiat Tango, ich bedanke mich für den schönen Abend, habt ihr wieder super gemacht und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.
Okay, let's go ahead and get pushback clearance. Frankfurt Apron, good evening. Antonov Bureau 3620 Super requesting pushback.
Antonov 3620 Apron, hello, pushback approved.
Pushback approved, Antonov 3620 Super. Okay, beacon light on. And with that, we are ready to go. Continue pushback. Yes, please. Facing north.
Release parking brakes.
Okay, so quick check here. Chocks gone, ground power gone, doors are closed, and the parking brake is off.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
519 Kilo, Apron, hello, taxi to stand, Victor 117, correction via taxi.
Okay, he gave us the all clear signal to start up our engines, so let's go ahead and do just about that.
Yeah, my mistake.
So it's gonna be an auto start. The fuel on board is checked. Fuel master switch is on. FADEC coming on. And then starting engines. The green light is on. And I'm going to let the engine start up automatically. And I'm going to use that same time in order to start setting up the GPS with our departure. That is just my little procedure in this airplane to start saving a little bit of time up here. So, we're going from Frankfurt towards Warsaw.
Lima, November 3 and November to stand Victor 12045.
Enter, procedure, departure, and we've been cleared for the Zulus 2 Foxtrot departure. So let's go ahead and try to find that in the GPS. Here we go, Zulus 2 Foxtrots. Runway 25 center they said, and this may be loaded up, please. And from here on it's just going to be programming a couple of the waypoints, while at the same time the engines are starting up automatically. Okay, the pushback is completed already. Very good. And that looks like we are facing into the right direction. Okay, let's see. After Zulus, we're going to fly towards Lonely. Thereafter, we continue towards Kulok. Oscar Kilo Golf. And that VOI is in the Czech Republic. Yep. Then Baltu. From Baltu we proceed towards Tomti. Then towards Mishka.
Left is clear, right is clear.
Sometimes it's still a little bit strange when typing those waypoints in here manually. Sometimes I have a feeling the plane just doesn't recognize them, or it just skips over the waypoints as you enter them. But, well, not too much our problem, as long as we pay attention. Here we've just seen it. Okay, so, Lunak. And then on towards Okano. Doggers. And finally towards Agava. Okay, procedures. In Warsaw, I'm not 100% sure what to expect over there, but I would say it's probably going to be the ILS for runway 33 if they have one. So let's have a look. Approach, ILS. And looking into the different options we have available. Runway 33. There should be an ILS Zulu, which is the default that I would normally take, but I don't see that over here. In that case, we're just going to take the ILS Yankee for now, and we can still fix all of that later on. Okay, so load. And yes, and finally we got to select our star as well, which we can find over here, and it's going to be the Agava 5 uniform arrival. Might be that we have to change all of that later on, but I'd rather change it later than having to deal with it right now. Okay then, let's have a quick look into the departure procedure that we are expecting. As we can see, we've still got to start up like half of our engines, but it's slowly progressing into the right direction, so here we go. Departure then, Zulus 2 Foxtrot departure is what we filed and probably what, well, and it is what we've gotten already. So let's see, we're going to climb straight at 4.5 dmi Frankfurt Main or 800 whichever is later. So we need 14.2 on the VOR number 1. 14.2, and that's identified over here as Fox Mike, Frankfurt. And thereafter it's gonna be a left-hand turn and pretty much all... Well, it's initially gonna be a left-hand turn towards 12D Romeo India Delta, 12.2. Let's select that on VOR number 2. Okay, that's 12.2. That thing over here doesn't really want to show us the item for number 2, but doesn't matter. It's alright for us. Okay. So with that, the radios are set. We've got an initial speed restriction of 210 knots on this departure. So let's also quickly find out what 210 knots is in kilometers an hour, and then we are basically done with all of our setup. So, converter, speed 210, and that equals 389 kilometers an hour, so let's just dial in 390 for the sake of making our lives a little bit easier.
Patron 408, taxi to get Delta 5 via November. 8005 via November, Patron 408.
Okay, here we go, 390 is in, and that's pretty much all of our setup complete. At the same time, all 6 engines are started. Let's go ahead and run the after start procedures. So, engine generators on, the APU generators will go offline automatically in a moment as we shut down the APU. APU heat off, APU masters off, and now it's just waiting until the APU has completely shut down. Finally, hydraulic pumps coming on, and we verify the on indications on all of them. Start panel closed, fuel levers guarded. So let's go ahead and proceed with the captain's flows. Flaps 2, thrust reversers armed. Gonna leave the speed brake in the 0 position up here. A couple people told me that if I put it into the all up position, which is what the manual tells me to do, but apparently then the auto speed brakes wouldn't work, so we're just gonna put it into the 0 position up here. Apart from that, the trims are neutral and nose wheel steering armed, so let's go ahead and proceed with a flight control check. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudders, full left, full right, neutral. And that's the B4 taxi procedures complete. So whenever we get a chance, let's get our taxi clearance.
Legit 22 taxi 2, stand of choice here, Romeo and Sierra 23.
Stand of choice, Romeo Sierra 23, double check, 23,
Antonov Euro 3620 Super, request taxi.
Contract call, report position.
It was Antonov Bureau 3620 Super. We are on the Southern Apron Sierra 506.
Contract 3620, taxi via Sierra 21, hold shot of Romeo.
I just confirm it's Antonov Bureau 3620. We are not a contract.
Sorry. Yeah, Antonov 3620, taxi via Sierra 21, hold shot of Romeo.
Taxi Sierra 21, hold shot Romeo, Antonov 3620.
And contact tower 119er, decimal 9er.
Antonov 3620, 119er, decimal 9. Okay, so we go forward a couple meters to the parallel taxiway up there. Brake is off, tiny bit of thrust here, and then contact tower 119.9. Hello, Antonov Bureau 3620 Super on Sierra 21, hold shot of Romeo.
3620, Frankfurt Tower, Lloyd Hollyback. Yoke 24, Victor Hotel, hold shot of Romeo.
And that's clear left, and clear right, but he said he's in control.
3620, taxi via Romeo, Romeo 5, hold shot of runway 25 left.
Taxi Romeo, Romeo 5, hold shot 25 left, Antonov 3620 Super. Okay, that's onto the right side over here, and Romeo 5 is going to be the second on the left side, and then we hold shot of the runway. I always find it amazing taxiing with this airplane when I look at those taxiways and see how small they seem from the cockpit of the Antonov. Like in the 737, these are super huge taxiways up here, but in this airplane, this all looks like, you know, little toys basically.
Austrian, 1 from Charlie, sorry, some problem, but I'm now on mic 2-1 holding short.
Austin 1 Charlie Fox for taxi via Mike 30.
Okay, so second taxiway to the left.
Via Mike 30.
Then let's do the takeoff briefing.
Cut,
This is going to be a left seat takeoff from runway 25 center, flaps full, noise abatement procedure number 2, rotate at 270, initial climb 330, and we can accelerate 390, that's going to be a flap 15 limited speed then. So on there we are going to fly everything using the GPS, so GPS guidance is selected down here. And that's pretty much it. We climb initially 1,500 meters, which equals 5,000 feet, and we're going to be handed off to the departure by the tower. And that should be the departure briefing. Any questions? In case of an engine failure, we have 5 engines remaining, so that's not going to be an issue. Okay, one guy on final over there. So we're just going to hold short of the runway over here. He did not tell us to hold on the cut 2 holding point, so we're just going to go to cut 1. With the plane as huge as this, we probably need to anyway. I couldn't stop it on the taxiway here in front of the cut 2 holding point.
Austin 1 Charlie Foxtrot, you turned the wrong direction, taxi via Mike, hold short of Mike 10.
Sorry, hold short, Mike 10.
Okay, there is the next guy coming. Oh, that was an early touchdown there. That was a very early touchdown.
Antonov 3620, cross runway 25 left, taxi to holding point runway 25 center via Mike 6.
Cross runway 25 left, taxi holding point 25 center, Mike 6, Antonov 3620. Antonov 3620, for your planning, we will need two minutes on the runway later on for engine warm-up.
Roger.
Always very good to tell the air traffic controllers, because otherwise they expect you to be ready for an immediate departure when you reach the holding point, which we are not going to be in this airplane. So that's why I just advised him already that we are going to need some time on that runway. Okay, so next off to the right, and then we are almost at the runway already.
Section 636 Delta.
Hey, clear left, there's a 777 coming there, but far enough away.
To the left, runway 25 left, indicating to the left, section 626 Delta.
Niner 54, taxi via Mike 60, hold short of cut 2, holding point runway 25 center.
Mike 0, holding short cut 2, runway 25 center, Lufthansa 955 Frankfurt Tower, hello, Lufthansa 2.0.
It's really an interesting feeling taxiing this plane. I still need to get used to sitting up that high. If you look at that, it's a huge airplane, the Antonov. It is an absolutely huge airplane.
557 Frankfurt Tower, hello. Then 1762 Frankfurt Tower.
Okay, next to the left is going to be ours. Let's get it slow again.
Frankfurt Tower, Lufthansa 8 Romeo Papa on Lima 6, ready for departure.
And here we are, Mike 6.
Santiago Papa Tower, hello, taxi holding point runway 25 center via Lima 3. Holding point 25 center via Lima 3.
Okay, let's go all the way forward to the holding point, otherwise I'm pretty sure other aircraft will not fit behind us.
Niner Juliet, wind 260 degrees, 5.
Okay, let's see how good I park this. Brake set. Yeah, that parking is alright up here. It's quite difficult to judge the distance to the whole throttle line when sitting this high. Like, even if I'm going all the way to the window, this still looks really, really close up here.
One Charlie Foxtrot, hold position.
Okay, anyway. Let's see if I missed anything.
One Charlie Foxtrot, you were instructed to hold short of Mike 10, you turned into Mike 10, you can expect a delay of about 15.
Okay, so this looks all good. We have hydraulic power.
3620, line up runway 25 center.
Antonov 3620, super, line up runway 25 center. Okay, clear lineup. That means strobe lights on, Gonna switch the landing lights off here as a reminder that we do not have clearance yet.
557, wind 260
I know, not
degrees,
that one,
5
but
knots, runway
that
25 left, clear to land.
Okay, and we turn this on as well.
636 Delta, hold short of Romeo, contact apron 121950.
Okay, we're going to start the run-up procedure immediately once we're on the runway, so that we don't waste too much time up here.
This is a 954, cross runway 25 center, turn right on Lima, hold short of November 14.
Runway 25 center, turn right on Lima, holding short, November 13,
hold short November 14.
November 14, hold short November 51.
Okay, lineup is good, 70%.
Europa 2 for Victor Hotel, contact tower 124850.
And then the timing is running at 45 seconds. Let's go ahead and set up the GPS once again.
Antonov 3620, report ready.
Antonov 3620 will go. We need 1 minute 30 seconds.
Roger.
Okay, just gonna enter that direct here, because now the GPS is aligned, as we can see on the routing down here.
Identified, contact departure 120.150.
Okay, we can pre-select that as well. 12015.
954, contact apron 121750.
121754, bye bye.
So 12015 is pre-selected. Okay, we're approaching 1 minute on the engines. Flaps full.
Budget 2807 tower, hello.
Autopilot pre-selected to navigation mode, and with that we are pretty much all ready to go.
7 knots, runway 25 left, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 25 left, 2827.
Frankfurt Tower, good affection 238, runway 25 left.
Okay, we've got to wait until the timer reaches 45.
557, taxi via Mike 30.
Flaps are slowly coming towards full. Quick last flight control check here. All looking good. And some 15 seconds before, I'm going to tell him that we're ready. Antonov 3620 Super, ready for departure.
3620 Super, roger.
Okay, that's what I expected. There's probably somebody landing or crossing the runway, so we are waiting for the clearance. Going to keep the engines at 70%, so that they stay warmed up. I believe I accidentally retracted the lights initially instead of extending them. Just gonna switch the landing light on already so that we can get clearances.
Antonov 3620, wind 260 degrees, 7 knots, runway 25 center, cleared for immediate takeoff.
Runway 25 center, cleared immediate takeoff, Antonov 3620 Super. Okay, set takeoff first. Takeoff first set, indications normal.
62, line up runway 25 center.
150 kilometers per hour.
Frankfurt, good evening, Canadian 6 November, landed,
November Tower, hello. Budget 2807, taxi via Mike, Tango, taxi via Mike 8,
V1, rotate.
Point runway 25 center.
Positive rate, gear up.
Budget 2807, taxi via Mike, Tango, hold short of cut 2, holding point runway 25 center. Mike,
Reverse are stowed.
Budget 2807, sorry, my mistake, via Mike 8, short of cut 2, holding point runway 25 center. Mike 8, hold cut 2, holding point runway 28. Section 238, wind 260 degrees, 7 knots, runway 25 left, clear to land, vacate left.
Half landing to the left and 25
Okay, park the first waypoint, start on the left turn, and we can start the acceleration.
557, cross runway 25 center, turn
So, flaps 25.
Short of November 1.
Flap 15.
Antonov 3620 identified, contact departure 136.125.
136, 125, Antonov 3620, bye bye. Okay, 136, 125. On radar low, Antonov 3620 Super, Solo is 2 Foxtrot departure, passing 3,500, climbing 5,000. I'm a set level 110, Antonov 3620 Super. Okay, so via SID, that means we still need to abide the speed restriction up here. So let's quickly see what's flight level 110 gonna be. $3,352 meters. Oh, 3,300 is set. Ooh, that looks like we overturned a little bit. That's what I meant in my tutorial when I said the GPS is not the most reliable for the navigation up here. Anyway, we're now on the straight segment, so we can start retracting flaps further. Flap 2. And our new target is going to be 460 kilometers an hour. That. And flap 0. Okay. Autopilot, navigation, and speed stabilization. Auto throttle is also engaged. Okay, here we go. After takeoff items, set altimeter standard. 760 and 1013. And on the right side, 760 as well. Okay, that's the after takeoff items complete.
3620 protect lang and 1252.
1252, Antonov 3620, Joe.
77 starting 77.
Okay, 125.2. On radar low, Antonov 3620 Super, passing 908, climbing 110. To go.
Antonov 3620 lang radar identified, and flight level 230.
On flight level 230, Antonov 3620 Super. Okay, initially I just selected something higher, then flight level 230, let's quickly see what that is in meters. 7,010. Okay, set. 7,000 meters checked. Then speed hold, pitch it down a little bit so that we can start acceleration. Nope, don't reduce my thrust yet. Looking for 520 kilometers an hour up here. Vertical speed looks good. Let's just take it out of the auto throttle so that it doesn't reduce our thrust as we're approaching the target speed.
Apron via Delta, cross runway 27 approved. The outside continue via Alpha contained.
Okay, that speed looks about good. Speed stabilization is on again. And with that we can re-engage the auto throttle. And we've passed 100, so the lights can go off and we can retract them as well. Okay, perfect. So we are on the way. That was, as always, really interesting departure with the Antonov. But alright, chap, Antonov 3620. Okay, let's try to find that. It is Oscar Kilo Golf. That's chat viewer. Enter, activate. And we're navigating towards that waypoint. Perfect.
603, descent flight level 180, crossing vignette level.
180 crossing BD for 66.
Photochromax, is there a barrel standard button on this plane, or do you just set it manually? You just set it manually. You have the selector down here, and, well, this is a pilot's airplane. You have to do a lot of work. And I see a couple of guys talking about the Poppy there in the chat. The Poppy is actually a very interesting thing. Now, let me tell you the two extremes. The Poppy is basically designed for the largest airplane that the runway is designed for. In most cases, that is something like a Boeing 747 or maybe, you name it, 747, A340, A380, something like that. And that means the Poppy is calibrated for the eye height of those airplanes when on the ILS. Now, in the Antonov, the cockpit is higher up than it is in those other aircraft. That means that even when you're exactly on the glide slope, in the Antonov you will eventually get 4 whites on the Poppies because it will seem like you are too high to the system. The big difference to that would, for example, be a Boeing 737. In the 737 you're sitting much lower than in most of those aircraft that a Poppy is typically designed for, and therefore in the 737, on most ILSs, you eventually end up with 3 reds on very short final. But in this airplane the Poppy gets a little bit yeah, in this airplane the Poppy just gets useless on very short final. But that is how it's meant to be. It's by design. It's not a bug, it's a feature in this case.
Taxicab 524, proceed direct flight level 180 at the
Then someone's asked earlier on if there is a model matching available for the AN225 on VATSIM. I don't think there is. At least I haven't seen one yet, but I might be mistaken on that. Certainly I don't have one installed.
Climb flight level 350.
Climb flight level 350, Antonov 3620.
Austrian 014.
Okay, 350, that's going to be our cruising level, so let's go ahead. 10,668 meters. Let's do the VATSIM guys a favor and set it exactly to 10,668. Here we are.
Takeoff 524, go ahead.
Soll ich jetzt schon Info oder nur als Expect?
Nur eine Info.
Okay, danke.
Okay, so further up we go.
14 November, descent flight level 310, cross Dinkel split level.
Now it took me a little bit of time to actually get used to flying this airplane, but by now I tend to say I've reached that state where I can safely say like, okay, I feel secure enough on the plane now to maneuver it on VATSIM.
127, climb flight level 35.
The most important point here, in my opinion, is that you feel confident to revert to lower levels of automation as it feels necessary. So, if anything goes wrong with my navigation up here using the GNS 530, or if anything goes wrong with the autopilot not being able to maintain its altitude or something like that, I would just go to a lower level of automation. That means if my navigation would mess up, I would ask the controllers for radar vectors, and if my autopilot wouldn't, for example, hold the altitude or maintain the speed, I would just initially revert to a lower level of automation, which means going to vertical speed and maybe selecting vertical speed 0, or if all of that fails, just disconnect the autopilot and fly the plane manually. After all, IndyBuilds have said on their forums themselves that a lot of the real-life flying in the Antonov 225 was actually done manually on approaches and departures, because the autopilot is just not that well developed on this airplane. And that is not a bug, but a feature. It was the same in the real one. Basically, when the Soviets started building this airplane, they ran out of budget and the plane had to go flying. So they just discontinued the work on the autopilot and left it as it is. And that's how eventually the plane got flying with an incomplete autopilot. And then they just never saw the need to change it, and they just had the pilots hand fly it in the situations where it was needed. So that's really an interesting story there on that airplane, if you ask me. And overall, I really have to say the Antonov is becoming a very fascinating airplane here. I really start to enjoy it.
First 2 Delta Whiskey Lange weiter den Tieffahrt, am Flight Level 31.
Rob H, what is the service ceiling? 370 if I'm not mistaken. But no guarantees on that. Let me quickly have a look into the manual. But the manual actually doesn't tell. No, in the limitation section, in the manual, there is no service ceiling mentioned. And unified memory, we are going towards Warsaw Chopin today, not to Modlin. Then, Automeme, is there any reason you are using auto throttle for the climb instead of keeping it at 112? Not really. Like, my primary reason to do it at the moment is that it makes it very hard to forget to switch on auto throttle later on. So, yesterday when I did a little test flight with the plane, I forgot to switch on the auto throttle and flew it right into the overspeed. And I didn't want that to happen on the live stream, and that's the reason why I just switched on the auto throttle in the climb. And the other reason of that is, if I switch it off, I get this annoying red throttle control message right in front of me, and that is something that, I don't know. I don't like red messages right in front of me, if you know what I mean. So if I can get rid of that, then I'm just about to do it. And Winter Splash, do you know why they are using Cat 2 holding points at Frankfurt? Yes, that is because if you're using a Cat 1 holding point, there is actually a collision hazard in Frankfurt. And that's why on Mike 10 they use the Cat 2 holding points in any weather nowadays. It basically assures wingtip clearance between two airplanes that might be behind one another on Mike 10. Horner, is the Antonov free? No, it's not. It comes at $19.99 on the marketplace. And the entire fundings that they raise through this airplane are going to go to Antonov, to the real Antonov, that is, for either rebuilding the real-life Antonov 225, or if they can't do that, for preserving the memory of it. That's how Microsoft says it themselves. And somebody asked me in an earlier video where that information actually comes from.
Monitor Unicom 122, that's simulate, bye-bye.
Monitor Unicom Antonov 3620, thank you very much, bye-bye. Okay, 122.8. Here we go. Finally, I can take my headset off. Wish I could do that in the 737, but unfortunately I can't. Okay, also a good idea, of course, to align that heading bug. And then they say in the manual that it is advised in this airplane to tune the en route navigation aids. So let's quickly go ahead and bring up the en route chart and select the first en route VOR. There's two ways how we can do this. One of them would, of course, be just by using the en route chart and then just go to Oscar Kilo Golf up here and select that, which tells us chap VOR frequency 15.7. That's one way how to find the en route frequencies. And the other one would be just to go into the flight plan up here. And down here we have chap VOR, and 15.7 is also set in here. So, for our purposes, we know what it is now, so let's select that. 15.7. And on radio number 2, we can select something offside so that we have something good for cross-checking our position. So let's have another look into the en route chart. And looking at this, some VOR somewhere along the route. I would say this one here looks good, Oscar Kilo Lima. And that is Rosinia. Get some information on the VOR. Here you go, 112.6, that's what we're looking for. Okay. So now we can use the VORs to monitor our... now we can use the VORs to confirm our position in case the GPS fails, or even worse, in case the GPS gets jammed. So it happens quite a bit when in real life we are flying close to Syria at the moment, which in my airline is the case when we're flying to Aqaba in Jordan or to Israel, but mainly when we're flying to Aqaba as we get quite close to the Syrian border. And basically whenever some armies are conducting operations there, they typically jam the GPS. And in the 737 we always noted that by the ANP going up, but you know, in this plane, which is primarily operating on the GPS, that is a little bit more of an issue. So that's why it's always a good idea to tune en route navigation aids in order to confirm your position, instead of relying exclusively on the GPS. Now, Crazy Zen asked earlier up, what does preserving the memory of the plane mean? I don't want to buy it and support something that never happens. Yeah, that's a good question what that actually means, because they don't explain it. Basically, when you load up Microsoft Flight Simulator on the in the main menu where you get to the marketplace, it says what I just said, that they want to either rebuild the airplane using the funds collected, and if that is not possible, preserve the memory of it. What that means, they don't really explain it. Maybe there is another source where Microsoft talked about that I'm not aware of. That might very well be the case. But at least for now, I can't find where that would be. So I guess maybe building a museum or something, but that is a pure guess. And I fully agree with Rob, by the way, that this is a bargain at the price, and if it helps to get the 225 back into the air, it will be a huge bonus. And I fully agree with that. So by now I find it a bit hard to actually comment on how the product shape is. By the way, let's quickly go into Mach stabilization mode so that we maintain Mach 0.74 in the climb. 74 is a very good Mach number to climb at in the Antonov, so we are going to do that. Now, then, Inferno's JT is asking, do you use takeoff alternate in real life? If yes, then what is the criteria of selecting the takeoff alternate? Quite easy actually. We need to use the takeoff alternate whenever we could not return to our departure airport in case of an engine failure. And in the 737, basically that's the case. When you have an engine failure, you are no longer Cat 3 capable. So whenever you have Cat 2 or Cat 3 conditions, you need a takeoff alternate, because the 737 is going to go Cat 1 with an engine failure. And the takeoff alternate needs to be within 60 minutes flying time on a single engine at a single engine cruise speed, which for the 737 is 427 knots. So you need to have an alternate that has Cat 1 or better conditions, and that is within 427 nautical miles of your departure airport. That's the takeoff alternate. And when would we actually fly to it? Basically when we have some kind of a failure that makes it necessary to land at the nearest suitable airport, which is what the quick reference handbook would tell us, land at the nearest suitable airport. And when that is in the QRH and we cannot return to the departure aerodrome, then we would proceed to the takeoff alternate. However, be aware that the takeoff alternate is actually only a planning requirement, so if in practical conditions you are in another place where you have better conditions, you might always also go there. Then Crazy Zen is asking, what is the black screen to the left of the GPS? That used to be a weather radar in the real airplane, but as part of the modernization program it was actually removed from the real aircraft because the navigation screen they have on the right hand side got upgraded with a weather radar as well. So basically in the real Antonov it's like that. And I have to admit here, I did a mistake in one of my earlier videos. In one of my earlier videos I said that the real Antonov also had a GNS 530 installed. That was actually not true. It had a different, even more basic piece of navigation equipment installed in here. But when they upgraded that like 10 years ago or something, the new thing got a weather radar. And ever since, the screen on the left here, which used to be a weather radar, was inoperative in the real aircraft. So that's the reason why you have this big black screen up there, but it basically does nothing. And regarding the operational altitudes at regarding the maximum altitude that we're talking about here, I couldn't find any real data, but shortly after the plane came out, I asked in the IndyBuilds Discord, and oh boy, I was trying to look that up, but it looked like they actually deleted my topics. Okay, so that source of information is lost, but I had a little chat with them in the Discord, and basically they said in there that at the max takeoff weight the plane can go to something like 28,000 feet, and then as the weight reduces it goes up to somewhere around 350, 360, something like that. So keep in mind you have a huge range of possible weights of the plane up here. The at empty weight it goes up to something like 36,000 feet or so, and at max takeoff weight only to 28,000. But as far as I can see, I cannot find that topic anymore, so it seems to me like they've actually removed it from their Discord, which is a pity, but seems like it. And Rob, yeah, if Google says 36,000, then that's probably correct. And Crazy Zen, so does it have a weather radar in the simulator? Well, sort of. What you have in the simulator, of course, is the 530. And in here, if you go on to the navigation map, let's see, display NextRad. So in here you have the satellite weather overlay, as you can see up here. So it sort of has a weather radar. It has this 2D overlay. Now, interestingly enough, you will remember how much I complained about this in the 737 and the A310 and so on. But here, in the GNS 530, it is actually realistic to have only a 2D top-down view of the weather. So in the GNS 530, that is actually correct. It is really basic and makes navigation not quite as easy, but, you know, as long as it works, that is absolutely fine for me. Then Myth, you're asking the question of all questions. First of all, thank you very much for your compliments on the stream. And secondly, I'm just curious, how does the anti-ice work on the AN225? Well, that is the question that I've also asked IndyBuilds, and I'm yet pending an answer that would be 100% good for me. Now, basically what they said when I inquired about the anti-ice is, in one of my earlier videos I said that the indicator on the left up here would illuminate to show you which anti-ice systems are currently working. Now, this instrument apparently is inoperative in our simulated plane up here. And by the way, I just see that I never completely shut down my APUs. Oopsie. Okay, now the APUs shut down. But back to the anti-ice. So basically, the way I understood it from their information in the Discord server, which by all means may not be a 100% accurate piece of information, but according to what I understood it, if the switches are in the bottom position, they are basically off, and if you put them into the up position, they are basically in auto. So if you put those into the up position, you have the anti-ice running. And this is going to be the engines up here, and this on the bottom is the wing anti-ice, as far as I understood it. Unfortunately, you will not get any immediate feedback if the anti-ice system is working, because the indicator up here seems to be inoperative. That is what I figured from the what they told me on Discord. Okay, we're reaching our cruising altitude of flight level 350. Let's switch to speed stabilization mode and increase our target speed a little bit, so that auto throttle is going to accelerate all the way to our target. I aim to cruise at Mach decimal 77, which is quite a fast speed for the Antonov. And the way this works, the way we can set our cruising speed is, first of all, we need to understand what these three modes up here do. Now, Antonov likes to call them stabilization modes. And we have speed stabilization, Mach stabilization, and altitude stabilization. Right now we are in altitude stabilization, which is basically altitude hold. And before that we climbed in Mach stabilization. However, those modes are not only for the climb and descent, but they are also for telling the auto throttle how to control the speed. So right now we are accelerating in speed stabilization mode, because I pressed that little button again here when we leveled off. And now the auto throttle is following the command from the speed window. And as it accelerates, I'm now watching my Mach number, and as soon as that hits 0.77, I'm going to hit Mach stabilization, and then the airplane is just going to maintain Mach 0.77 and will ignore the speed setting up here on the speed window. So that is apparently how you can change your Mach number in cruise in the Antonov. Now, of course you could simply use speed stabilization only and select the target airspeed, but when the temperature changes, your Mach number changes as well, and therefore you might fly different Mach numbers when you're flying the same indicated airspeed. So that's why, as soon as we see 0.77 up here, we're going to go back into Mach stabilization, and then regardless of the temperature changes, the airplane is always going to maintain Mach 0.77. So we're reaching that right now. So let's go Mach stabilization, and now the auto throttle should basically maintain this Mach number. I did find that it sometimes tends to pull off a little bit too much thrust and then lose a little bit of airspeed, but it is going to add that thrust back in and then bring us back towards the target Mach number. So we'll just watch it and see how it's going to do its job right now, and then later on we are going to decide if we need to intervene again. But it usually seems to me like they are really doing it's really doing a good job when it works, but it sometimes needs a little bit convincing to work. Like, see here how now the Mach number dropped to 7.6, and now it's basically adding a tiny bit of thrust again. And you can see how it's somewhat on the middle between 7.6 and 7.7 up here. So we'll just watch it do its thing and keep an eye on how the system operates. Also, you'll see that the plane tends to vary in its altitude and tends to go a little bit up and down. Apparently, according to any builds, that is also correct according to the real airplane, which has an autopilot that is just not 100% developed, as they say. And I really wouldn't be surprised if the Soviets eventually decided, okay, we've got to get this airplane flying by the schedule, so we'll just leave it as it is. It's probably the same at high altitudes that it also is at low altitudes, but fair enough for us. We can get this plane flying, and in the end, that is all that counts. Okay, another thing that I like to do, change the TCAS into the below mode, so that we can actually see traffic that's far enough below us. Ooh, what's that guy doing in front of us there? climbing through our level, it seems. Can we see him anywhere outside? No, not really. Well, fair enough. Good enough for me. Now he's 1,000 above us, and now he's going back below. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore that little TCAS right there. Where is he? Can't even see that guy. Let's go to the outside. Plus I have a feeling the TCAS is bugging around here. There just is no traffic over here. Yeah, we're gonna ignore that for now. I'm totally happy. Okay, now he's stabilized 1,000 below us again. Fair enough. And Crazy Zen, yes, of course this plane has TCAS. Now, Furnace JT, what is currently your closest airport? We're pretty close to Prague at the moment. We've tuned Prague on VOR number 2, so can have a look over here. And Prague is located just over here and shouldn't be too far off either. What's the DME? 23 miles from Prague. Here we can see it as well. And yep, as Automeme says, pretty much any plane has TCAS these days. It is required anyway for operation in RVSM airspace. So anything in Europe that goes above flight level 285 has a TCAS. And anything that basically any airplane that's operating commercially that has, I believe, 19 or more seats is required to have a TCAS anyway. And of course, operating commercially under a certain weight, which this one definitely falls into, you are required to have TCAS as well. Okay, let's quickly go ahead and determine our top of descent before we start laying back and just enjoying the flight. So, quick look into the routing over here. Agava 5 uniform arrival. We have an Agava restriction level 190 or below, which is mandatory for safety reasons due to crossing departures. Actual descent clearance will be as directed by air traffic control. So for now, let's just enter Agava flight level 190 into the GPS, and that should calculate the top of descent for us then. So Vina flight level 190, and we want to reach that 0 miles before Agava. Descent profile 2,500 feet a minute, enter. So top of descent in 25 minutes. Okay, auto throttle is still somewhere between 0.76 and 0.77 up there, but I'm happy with that. It's a minor variation. We are most likely flying exactly on the border between the two indications, so the speed is not actually changing even though the indicator tells us different. But that's just how they interpret your systems, and you know. Okay, so quite a complex cockpit, so it's always a good idea to regularly check all the other stations as well. So very quick check here. Hydraulics, all of them have pressure, all the lights are on, very good, and everything's operating over here. Then looking at the fuel pumps, we're not seeing any failure lights. That's the most important thing for me here. Looking at the fuel gauges is something that I still find a little bit strange, just because they almost read 0, if you know what I mean. But the tanks just have such a huge capacity of fuel that when I'm adding up the numbers down here, it's basically 5,000 per side. So we still have like 30 tons of fuel on board, so we only used like 25% of our fuel so far. But it's really strange to see the indicators here almost showing 0. By the way, I finally got around to learn what exactly those engine instruments are displaying as well. So in case somebody is wondering, we have N2 at the top and 1 on the bottom of the RPM gauges. Then of course we have the EGT, and now when we go forward with the gauges going lower, here's what we have. We have the oil pressure, then below that is the EGTs, and finally we have the fuel flow. Sorry, my mistake. The lower one is not the fuel flow, but the oil quantity in tens of liters. So we have oil pressure, oil temperature, and then oil quantity. Oil pressure, oil temperature, oil quantity, and apparently down here some stuff is inoperative, so we can just ignore these up here. Then, Photochrome X, is TCAS just an ADS-B receiver and a small computer to show the info somehow? Well, it's not an ADS-B receiver. Basically, the transponders of the two involved aircraft are communicating with one another. That's also how the TCAS system prevents both aircraft giving a climb or descent command at the same time, you know? So basically, the transponders of the aircraft are communicating with one another. And that's how it gets the positions of and the altitudes of the other aircraft. It's not really ADS-B, it's just the two transponders. Of course it is some sort of ADS-B, that's true. Then, Agent DZN, how do Antonov pilots light up the cockpit at night? I'm gonna tell you in a moment, but first of all, we've just received contact me from a Warsaw radar on 125.45. So let's go ahead and give him a call. Warsaw radar, good evening. Antonov 3620 Super, flight level 350.
Antonov 3620 Warsaw, evening, laser contact, proceed direct Agava, clear Agava 5, uniform arrival, expect ILS Yankee 33.
Antonov 3620 Super, direct Agava, cleared Agava 5, uniform arrival, expect ILS Yankee, runway 33.
01 Zulu direct Solix.
Okay, flight plan, Agava, direct, enter, activate. And we cleared Agava 5 uniform arrival, which is exactly what we programmed, as you can see over here. And ILS Yankee runway 33, which we have also programmed, as you can see up here. Then, Aman ATC is asking, can you tune up the volume of ATC and decrease that of the simulator? Yes, I can, of course, do that. So, ATC is a bit louder now, and the sim is a tiny bit quieter now.
Austrian 31 Charlie, climb flight level 340, please.
Flight level.
Then, Crazy Zen, can this plane simulate failures? No, to my knowledge it cannot. And Otto Meme, I fully agree with you. The arrangement of the N2 and N1 gauges is really odd. Those of you who've seen my first video of the first look after the release, in there I actually confused the gauges and misidentified them because there was just nothing written on them. But yeah, that's how it happens. Anyway, now that the guys from Inibuilds clarified it on their Discord, I finally know how these things work, and I might as well just do a separate video on that topic. And Jeff, I keep wanting to draw those curtains on the main windows. Oh yeah, that'd be lovely. By the way, talking about curtains, have you seen the curtains separating the pilot's workspace from the navigators and the engineer stations up here? You have a curtain here and one over here. And the idea behind those is that you can close them on a night flight so that the pilots are actually sitting in the darkness with only some small instrument lights illuminated, while the flight engineers and the navigators are sitting in a brightly illuminated cockpit. So that's quite a difference there. And now regarding the earlier question on the interior lighting in the Antonov, you have some light controls over here on the captain's station. Then on the first officer stations you have some more lighting controls on his side. And then going to the back, the flight engineer has his lights up here, and the navigator has the lights up here. So that's the lighting controls we have in the cockpit. I wouldn't be surprised if there are more, but those are at least the controls that I'm aware of that we have in this airplane. Indeed, I'm pretty sure that there is more, but at least nothing that I'm aware of. So let's just have another look at the navigator station up here. And looking at the navigator station, let's just do a little bit of navigator's job up here. So first thing up here, cross-check our position once again against the en route chart. Now, looking into the en route chart, we've just crossed the border from the Czech Republic into Poland, so we've just flown over here, over Tomty. And we've got the direct towards Agava over here. Now, we can quickly verify that our position is correct. And there's two VORs that I see on the chart up here. One of them is Wrocław. One of them is Wrocław on 11.65 that we should more or less fly over immediately. So if we just quickly go ahead and tune 11.65, then first of all we should get the Wrocław identifier up here, which we do. And then we could also go ahead and use our HSI in order to cross-check our exact position. Before I do that, however, let's quickly turn another en route VOR, which is the Lima Oscar Zulu VOR near Le Wuch up here. So that's on 12.4. So, with our VORs now pre-selected, we can do a very quick cross-check of our position. And the way we can do this is basically we are going to adjust the course on the VOR1 radio, which I've currently set this HSI to, until we see the exact position. So here we've got it. On radial 245, 84 kilometers from the Wrocław VOR. So, like that, the navigator now plotted on the chart, and like that he could tell immediately where we are. So if we have a look at the en route chart right now, then we'll see that we've got Wrocław VOR up here, and we are somewhere down here on 254, so somewhere down south of it, and 85 kilometers. Now this is 63 miles, so we're probably somewhere over here near Dinov position at the moment. And if we remember, we got the contact me at some point a little bit before Tomty, while we were still in Czech airspace, and he sent us direct to Agava, so we're pretty much flying something like this. As you can see, the position that we've just determined from the VOR pretty much matches what would be logical for our flight's position. Of course, we can just go ahead and do a little bit of cheating by looking at the GPS, but let's just do that and see how accurate the position that I've just determined really is. So, Wrocław up here, and if we zoom out a little bit, yep, that is pretty much exactly what we saw on the chart as well. It must be interesting though to do the navigator's job in this airplane. It certainly wouldn't be for me. I enjoy the complete pilot experience and not just the navigator's part of it. Even though I can absolutely understand how this thing definitely has its charm.
558 and say again, what's next?
Ryder 127 after Kilo 558, direct Ofuk, Oscar Fox Fox, uniform Kilo.
And Automeme, I think the in-game checklist set to wait for 55% N1 and engine 1-2, but 55% is the correct N2 value, not N1, so that makes it more confusing. Yeah, absolutely. I used the in-game checklist quite a bit to learn the plane, and there were quite some mistakes in there compared to the checklist in the manual. So yeah, that was quite confusing for me at first as well. And then, Photochromax, is that handle a tiller or just a window crank? The handle up here is actually a tiller. And we've got the nose wheel steering switches down here. And for the windows, I actually don't... Yeah, you can open this front window up here, but that doesn't seem to be simulated. So this would seem like the window handle to me. But doesn't look like you can actually operate this. And then Myth is asking, I've noticed the radio controls have several more switches than normal, like DME VR switch on the top right side of the unit. Any clue what those are for? To be honest, no, not really. I apologize for that, but there's nothing in the manual on those switches, and I'm not familiar with units that actually would have... Well, if I could read what is actually written on them, that would certainly be a starting point, but unfortunately I can't read Cyrillic, so I don't really know. My apologies. Alright, let's see, how far off is the top of descent? 10 more minutes. Yeah, why don't we just about go ahead and start preparing for the approach already? And Jeff L, I still can't believe this plane is only $20. Yeah, I fully agree. For $20, this is a huge piece of fun. Now, I don't quite know yet how extensive the system simulation in this actually is. I mean, it does look quite basic, however, the entire layout of the plane is just, well, while saying quite basic, I mean the system stuff back here. The autopilot actually seems quite a bit more advanced, which is a fun little thing to fly, but to me it seems like this is a hugely fun plane to fly. Now, I find it very hard to actually comment on how well or not it is simulated, because I'm just not familiar enough with those Soviet technologies. So all I can say is that it feels enjoyable, it seems like it has the most important stuff simulated, and even though, of course, we have a lot of inoperative buttons, especially on the back of the flight engineers and the navigator station, this still is a fun thing to fly, and I'm pretty sure that if they simulated this in a PMDG style, then, you know, pretty sure that almost nobody could actually fly this. So I think they found quite a good compromise there between complexity and simplification, and it is a huge piece of fun to fly, so I'm totally happy with it the way it is. And for $20, that is really unbeatable. Like, for $20, it's almost a steal. I can absolutely recommend anybody to get this at this price point. Not only because you're supporting Antonov in rebuilding the real airplane, or at least conserving the memory to it, but most certainly because it just is a huge piece of fun to fly, and for $20 you're not gonna get anything similar. You've got to go up to $35 in order to get something good. Alright, so let's go ahead and slowly start the preparation for the approach. Now, we've already gotten clearance for the Agava 5 uniform arrival, and out of that we were told to expect the ILS Yankee approach for runway 33 over at Warsaw Airport. Let's also have a quick look into the airport chart already, because I'm quite sure that parking is going to be a bit of an issue in this airplane. So basically what I'm expecting is this. We're going to vacate the runway, either Sierra 1 or Sierra 2, maybe even Sierra 3. And then we'll probably go down south over here via Alpha. And I see some cargo parkings down there in the south. So that might be an option of what we could expect. Apart from that, maybe let's have a quick look into the parking stand chart. But it doesn't really look like any of these aprons up here would fit our airplane. So let's see if we can find some chart for the south. Yeah, that looks like it. Cargo apron, yeah, that seems quite big over here for the gates. So probably gate number 62. That is something I could imagine for now. Okay. So let's go ahead and pin this chart as well. Okay, so time to have a look at the different minima. So frequencies 110.3.
Antonov 3620, when ready, descent level 170.
3620, when ready, descent flight level 170. Okay, when ready, descent 170. Let's go ahead and calculate that. That's going to be 5,182 meters. So 5,182. And he said when ready, so let's quickly check where our top descent is in 5 minutes. Perfect. Philippe, Antonov 225 has been in Warsaw 2 years ago and then...
Direct Erlek, Echo Romeo Lima, Echo Golf.
Alright, Alec, Antonov 3620. Okay, let's check where that is. Flight plan... Over here, perfect. Direct to, enter, activate. Okay, that's a nice shortcut. That's a really nice shortcut that seems to be pretty much on the extended final. So let's quickly check the chart, then we can calculate a new top of descent as well. Yep, here it is, Alec. In 3,000 feet, 1.5 miles to the descent point. So they want us to take 5 miles for the deceleration. So let's say 3.5 miles before Erlek, we want to be at an altitude of 3,000 feet. So let's redo our VNAV performance. We're looking for an altitude of 3,000 and we want to have that 3.5 miles before Erlek. Okay, perfect. So new top of descent in 3 minutes time. Okay, so let's go ahead with our setup. We've got the course as 326. And here we've got 326 and 326. Okay, minimum is going to be a category 1 and cut delta 214, so 214, that is something like 60 meters or so. Well, let's just go ahead and set the minimum at 60 meters, like this. Okay, good, so that's pretty much the approach then. So we don't have any threats for the arrival. Frequency is 110.3 set left and right side. Minimum 568, which is pre-selected on the radio altitude. For the approach, we start at 8.3 DME in 3,000 feet. 3-degree glide down to the minimum. We're going to do a flap 35 landing with a final approach speed in the region somewhere 270 kilometers an hour. In case I miss approach, climb straight ahead on 3 to 6 degrees to Xelto, then turn left to Mulza, climb at 3000, then as directed. You know what? Does the GPS... Yes, the GPS provides us with that guidance. Okay, perfect. Then we can fly the missed approach in GPS mode as well. Okay, that's pretty much it. MSA 25 in the south, 24 in the north, so we call it 25. Around the airport, keeping us safe. Landing on here, runway 33, and then... as you guys said in the chat, they parked in the cargo area, okay, so that's going to be down here. So probably as we figured earlier on, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Okay, and GTR Booster says you can control the Alt knob by left-clicking it and dragging it left or right, so you don't have to use the tablet for switching increments. Okay, gonna give that one a try. Doesn't really seem to work for me. Sorry. So, clear altitude 5181. Okay. Okay, descent to target. So, put it into vertical mode, and then we can slowly make it descend. Now I'm going to use the pitch hold mode to get it to a vertical speed of 2500, and once we reach that I'm going to hit the vertical speed button like this. And now we're descending according to the profile. A little bit of work in here, but we get the plane to do what we want it to do, so...
Descending 5,000 feet, QNH 1012,
And Jeff L, finally, a use case for those A380 and 747 taxi charts. Yep, absolutely. And Ottomine, think it has to be in ones mode for that to work. Okay, let's give that a try. We've got to put this to ones. Okay, we remember 5182 is our cleared altitude. No, click and drag doesn't work here. Okay, so that speed looks good, 520. So I've just put it back into speed stabilization. Now the auto throttle should basically follow our indicated speed command. What I always find funny in the Antonov is 2,500 feet a minute is not really a high rate of descent for a jet airliner. But it seems to me that when you're at a high gross weight, 2,500 already basically makes you fly quite a high indicated speed without the need for any thrust. Okay, let's see. Target still 2,400. Then WQ, what if you set it to once and hold shift? Okay, good idea. Let's try that. Let's set to once. Hold shift. Oh, still going in ones.
Lot 177, contact 0 East 135, left 1
135, just 1 thanks for the answer.
And Vanish saying this model is very badly done, lots of bugs. Well, honestly, for 20 euros, what would you expect? Like, you're surely not going to get a study level airliner like a PMDG for this. However, It is a lot of fun to fly, and in my opinion that is exactly what they aimed for, so it's not done to be a 100% system replica of the real Antonov 225, but it's done to look like one, to sort of fly like one, and to give you the fun of flying it, and that's exactly what it does. Of course, it's not PMDG level, but they don't claim for it to be PMDG level either.
SET2 Delta. Lot 264.
Runway 2620, requesting to leave the cockpit for 1 minute.
Okay, so some of you say that it might just not be working on that altimeter because I'm in legacy mode. Well, at least not that I know of, but I wouldn't say straight away that I'm not in legacy mode, so or in lock mode. So yep. I'm gonna try that after the flight and see if I can do something over there. So thank you very much for your tips, guys.
Antonov 3620, contact approach 18.8.
18.8, Antonov 3620, correct. Okay, 128.8. And do we have an HOTAS?
Winter 1 Zulu, can you repeat?
We do, information Bravo.
Descend down to 4,000 feet to an H1011, and after Adini, proceed with the Alpha 533.
Sir, Adini, with Alpha 533, descend 4,000 feet and QNH 1011, Winter 1 Zulu.
Block 908, X-ray Lima, turn right heading 3003, cleared ILS, Yankee runway 33, report established.
Sorry, heading 3303 down, cleared ILS, Yankee runway 33.
Warsaw approach, good evening, Antonov Bureau 3620 Super, information Bravo, descending flight level 170.
Stand by, break with the 8201, contact Warsaw, radar 1.
Okay, that's like one to go.
Bye-bye.
Vertical mode.
With the 8201, contact the VATSIM radar 125.450, bye-bye.
And that's 1,000 foot a minute. Vertical speed hold.
Amazon 3620, Vassava approach, hello, radar contact to descend flight levels descend flight level 100, expect ILS Yankee runway 33.
Antonov 3620 Super, descend flight level 100, expect ILS Yankee runway 33. Okay, set. Then, vertical mode once again, dial it back down, 2,000 feet a minute is what the GPS says we'll need right now. So here we go, 2000, vertical speed hold, and now we can do the fine tuning. Flight level 100 should be something like 3,300 meters, but let's see. 3,048, okay, good enough, fair enough. $3,048. So the GPS says we need 1,900 feet a minute in order to be on profile. So I tend to say we're going quite well over here.
908, X-ray Lima, you're going to overshoot the localizer, turn right now heading 3.
Going to be quite a 90-degree turn here on the intercept, but that's going to be fine. We're probably going to get some radar vectors at the end anyway. And Marshkrog, thank you very much for the €2.49 donation. That is much appreciated, my friend. And Rob H, the second radio is located on the radio operators panel. So the second radio is located back here, and we should have actually set that at 101.5. Might as well do that right now. Here we go. Okay, one guy on the Chicas up there, 40 kilometers ahead, not gonna be a problem. And that's 2,000 to go. You might as well slowly start the speed reduction towards 250 knots, which is 460 kilometers an hour.
Ryder 908 X-ray Lima.
Pitch hold, pitch it up a little bit.
Antonov 3620 descend altitude 7,000 feet, QNH 1011.
Antonov 3620 descend 7,000, QNH 1011. Okay, that's 1011, and then we're looking for 7,000. Give me the hundreds. (2,133 meters). Wow, that was well guesstimated. Okay, getting the speed back towards 460, and when the speed is back, we'll just put it into speed stabilization and continue our descent. In the meantime, QNH 1011, which is 758 on the primary altimeter. 758 and 758. Very good. Slowly approaching the target speed over here. A couple aircraft showing up on the TCAS as expected. Okay, speed stabilization. I'll put the auto throttle off.
Whistle 1 Zulu, descend 3,000.
And we're passing flight level 100. Lights out, lights on, and lights on. Very quick check on the engineers panel. Let's see what we've got up here. Fuel, plenty of it on board. That's my primary thing that I'm worried about up here, and the rest of it looks good. Very nice.
Climb to flight level 160, proceed to direct Alila, you're having total performance.
Now look at that. We are in speed stabilization mode. So basically level change, maintaining 250 knots, and the thing only gives us something in the region around 1,000 feet a minute stabilized up here. That's really not a lot. Let's check what we need. 1,700. Okay. Might have to use a little bit of speed brake here in order to get the plane down easier. Let's see how the autopilot is pumping the nose up and down at the moment. That's really the stuff that where any build said that the plane would be quite unstable there. Okay, so
Antonov 3620, turn right heading 090 degrees, delayed axis.
Antonov 3620, right heading 090 degrees. So, I've turned the autopilot off. I'm gonna fly the plane manually now. And we've got 800 feet to go. The delay vectors don't really come as a surprise. Looking at the TCARs, there's a lot of traffic here at the moment. And already pre-select the nav display onto the ILS mode.
Antonov 3620, descend to altitude 3,000 feet.
Antonov 3620, descend altitude 3,000 feet. And how many track miles can we expect?
Antonov 3620, you can expect about 30 track miles to the descent.
Roger, thank you. Okay, 30 miles to run, we are below 70, so might help it a tiny bit here with a bit of speed brake, because the 225 really doesn't descend very well. It's got a huge glide angle even at these weights, so I'm helping it a tiny bit here.
Expect ILS approach runway 29er and proceed direct eastbound to Patron.
Establish runway 33.
With 10, thank you. The traffic is...
So, I'm focusing on my flying right now, so excuse me for not answering any comments in the questions right now. I'm going to get back to those after the landing, okay?
Contact Warsaw Tower 118 decimal 3.
Antonov 3620, turn left heading 050 degrees space.
Turn left heading 050 degrees, Antonov 3620.
Warszawa approach, kłaniam się siódko, dobry wieczór.
Heading 050.
Flight level 150.
Enter 4557, Warszawa approach, kłaniam się. Your radar contact, descend to flight level 100, expect ILS empty from runway 33.
On to go.
Information Bravo, and 1047. Correction, information Sardine, 1047.
Okay, 500 feet a minute to go, eventually preparing to level off the plane.
Antonov 3620, turn left heading 360 degrees, speed ILS Yankee, runway 33, report established.
Antonov 3620, left heading 360 degrees, cleared LS Yankee, runway 33, welcome. Okay, starting the left turn, reaching 3000, and we are 14 miles off. So the DME on the left over here actually reads in nautical miles, which is quite nice for our descent planning. So I'll just keep the plane in idle and start the deceleration right now. Okay, flaps 2. Localizer alive. Turning final. Flap 15. Okay, runway inside up there. And note how slow the speed is to go down, even with the engine still in idle thrust at this moment. Antonov 3620 established.
Antonov 3620, your number 3, continue approach, and contact us in tower 118.3, bye-bye.
118.3, Antonov 3620, thank you very much, bye-bye. plane doing?
Clear to the destination via Venus 7 Golf departure on 29er flight.
Okay, flaps 25. Glide slope coming alive, gear down. Sorry, Warsaw Tower, good evening. Antonov 3620 Super established ILS Yankee 33.
Antonov 3620, good evening. Okay, Tower. Wind 290 degrees, X knots, company approach number 1.
Continue. Okay, so the blue buck is basically our approach speed.
Lost some Mike Foxtrot.
Trying to get everything stabilized right now.
Okay, Tower, dobry wieczór.
Oh, here we go. That looks quite good to me.
Ryanair 725 with 290 degrees, 8 knots, runway 29 clear for takeoff. After departure, contact Warsaw approach, 1 to decimal 85.
So the landing gear is down. After that, the lever goes back into the neutral position in this plane. And then we can guard the gear lever down there.
704 via Oscar Alpha Zulu Mike.
Okay, let's see. The lights are on. Gear down, flaps full. That should be our landing checklist complete.
Wizard 1 Zulu, welcome to Warsaw, taxi stand 704 via Oscar Alpha Zulu and Mike.
Wizard 1 Zulu, taxi 704 via Alpha, Oscar and Mike.
I really have to say this plane is a very nice plane to manually fly.
Oscar Alpha Zulu.
Very easy to control. The only thing that I don't like is how sensitive the pitch trim is. It's almost impossible to really trim this out. Constantly have to do something on the elevators because even the smallest input provides a huge pitching moment. But things like maintaining the speed and once you've got the plane stable, maintaining the ILS manually go really, really easy on this. Which I can very well imagine the real airplane to be like, because I've never flown a Soviet-built plane, but they say that these aircraft can fly really well. What the Western guys gained in aerodynamic efficiency, but lost in controllability, they made up with flight computers. But the Soviets just used that little bit more fuel because they had it available and therefore built aircraft that were really easy to manually fly.
Antonov 3620, wind 290 degrees, 8 knots, runway 33 clear to land.
Antonov 3620 Super, runway 33 clear to land.
Tower CB230 requesting push and start, stands 20.
Oscar 301, copy standby, break, left side Mike Foxtrot, push start approach, QNH 1011, facing south. Just 1, are you ready to taxi?
In 2 minutes, okay?
Okay, approaching minimum.
Copy, break, Oscar 301, push and start approach, QNH 1011, facing south.
Minimums, continue.
Facing south, QNH 1011, CB230.
Foxtrot, Papa 004, confirm your call sign.
Flying fish 4.
Flying fish 004, clear, are you ready to copy your clearance?
Yes, go ahead with clearance.
Okay. So we are down. Speed break up, thrust was normal. Manual brakes.
Yeah, clear to Prague, 5, runway 29er, Foxtrot, 7 Golf, crossing 1000, initially
130,
flying fish
auto reverse.
Flying fish 004 is the correct break, Antonov Bureau 3620. Okay.
We continue and confirm we vacate to the right into Alpha, Antonov Bureau 3620.
Antonov 3620, yeah, taxi right, then Oscar and Alpha, hold short of 29er.
Right, Oscar Alpha, hold short 29er, Antonov Bureau 3620. Okay, we're on Oscar right now. Now off to the right. And off to the right again to hold short of the crossing runway.
Lot 1, now you must hold your position. You can taxi a bit forward, but there is Air Serbia A320 Neo, the line is pushing back on mine.
Roger that, lot 2.
Enter 501 Papa line up and wait runway 29.
Line up and wait runway 29.
Okay, so we're on Alpha right now.
And flying 64, we are ready for push and start.
And let's have a quick look into the charts to see where we are going. We're up here on Alpha, hold short runway 29, and then we'll probably just continue by Alpha towards the gate. Okay, understood where we are going. Okay to clean up. Okay, there's an aircraft over there on 29, so we better take it slow.
Antonov 3620, crossing runway 29 is approved. Continue via Alpha, hold short of taxiway Golf.
Antonov 3620, cross runway 29, continue via Alpha, hold short Golf. Okay, hold short Golf, that's basically hold short of the first apron. We'll continue straight. That guy is holding, and strobe lights on. Hello there.
Tower Serbia 230, ready for taxi, stand 20.
Serbia 231, copy, taxi calling point runway 29 via Mike and Echo.
Holding point.
Okay, starting the APU.
Mike and Echo, Serbia 230.
After 501 Papa, wind 290 degrees 8 knots, runway 29 clear for takeoff. After departure, contact Warsaw, approach 1, try to thank you, dobranoc.
Clear for takeoff, runway 29.
And then we're approaching Golf.
Warsaw approach 128.
Lot 1, continue taxi via Mike and Echo to Honeycomb, runway 29.
Continue taxi via Mike and Echo.
Okay, we'll just stop it here for now and see where he's going to send us.
597, behind
Brake set. APU is slowly starting up over there. So let's see where he wants us to go. I see there's somebody standing on those stands over there. That's probably exactly where we are supposed to park. Maybe that's the issue right now. Anyway, we're just gonna wait over here, and I'm sure that ATC will have something for us in a few moments. Otherwise, we might of course always park on the left over there. Ah, that guy's actually pushing. Okay, perfect. So once he's gone, I'm sure we can get on stand. Okay, very nice. So let's just about go to the back over here. And see, the APU is up and running. APU bleed on. And nothing to do over here yet. Okay.
178, taxi to holding point runway 29 via Echo.
So maybe that's the Ryanair, I don't know.
Runway 29 via Echo, Ryanair 1278.
Ryanair 1278 via Echo 3, line up and wait runway.
But nice to see that ATC is actually thinking along, and that ATC has actually made us hold short here, so that this guy, when he's taxiing, can get past us. By the way, did anybody of you flying the 225 notice that when you change to the outside and then back to the cockpit, you get this blurry terrain up here everywhere until you get the plane moving again? Like, look at this from the outside. It just seems the airplane is so big that the flight simulator engine more or less thinks that this is too far away and doesn't render it.
So tower 5 is 4, we are just starting engines and I can see that 225 is waiting for us.
Okay, and then we should get out any moment.
Okay, so we hurry up.
And cloud action, prior to the landing asking if the speed brakes were armed. Yeah, that's a little bit of a topic here. I've had a lot of people telling me the speed brakes are armed when they're in this position up here. The manual says they need to be up here. Anyway, to me it seems like this is... I don't know. I just can't get the speed brake to properly.
Antonov 3620, expect stand 65.
Expect stand number 65, Antonov 3620. Okay, expect stand 65. Let's see if that's the one that we were expecting anyway. And looking at the parking chart. Oh, 65 is actually even a little bit further to the south. Anyway, that's surely going to be big enough for our plane. So that's good enough for us. So we're just waiting for the 737 in front to start taxiing. When that guy's taxiing, then we can then we can get onto the stand as well. Let's see if we have GSX.
Serbia 201, wind 290 degrees south, runway 29 for takeoff. After departure, contact partial approach 128.8, taxi by.
2903 for takeoff. After departure, 128.8, Serbia 230, thank you, bye.
And 6,
5. 004, taxi to holding point runway 29.
Press follow me, no thanks. We'll take handling by Swiss.
Holding point 29 Alpha Lima, flying FIFA.
Antonov 3620, taxi to holding point runway, taxi to stand 65 via Alpha, give way for the coming in front Boeing 738.
Antonov 3620, we give way to the 737 in front and then when clear taxi stand 65.
The Boeing 737-8 in front of you is taxiing via Alpha and Lima.
Roger. Okay, via Alpha and Lima, so as you can see over here, he's coming from down here, then Alpha Lima. We're currently sitting up here, so once he's clear, then we can go down south towards our parking stand. And Rap H, yeah, Ram GA Medium. Welcome to the world of Flight Simulator. Okay, so he is slowly coming. I wonder if they did like, well, probably, definitely not single engine taxi, but you know, reduced engine taxi. Maybe they did some 4-engine taxi or so over here, shutting down 2 engines. I don't know. Would be interesting to know. Even though, what's our weight at the moment? 490 tons.
Antonov, we are just running away, so have a nice taxi to the stand.
Thank you. Okay, so he should be turning. Yep. He's turning. Brakes off. Tiny bit of thrust. Should be all we need. And here we are moving. So here you can see what I mean. If you're sitting this high, now the, let's call it the good taxiway texture is slowly spawning in front of us. I have a feeling the simulator is not really built to handle an airplane this big.
Yeah, I know we are taking off right now. Lost to one.
Copy, break, lot 33.
Okay, so the 737 is gone on the left hand side. Very good.
004, line up and wait, runway 29er. Flying fish 004, line up and wait, runway 29er.
Flying fish 4, we need just a few minutes to finish our checks, so we hold the runway on the holding point.
Public start, thanks for the information. Break, lot 33.
Okay, so not those stands yet, but the apron behind that. Even though GSX, funnily enough, spawned over there. Well, I'm gonna ignore that. Our stand is 6.5, so we go to 6.5. Whatever GSX says. So that's 6.4. Then the next one is 6.5. Yep, here it is. Taxi light off. And onto the stand. Oh, there even is a GSX truck. Nice. But a marshaller would be nice. Well, then we've got to park ourselves. Lovely. It's not like we're only flying pretty much the largest plane in the world. But then we've got to park ourselves. No problem. Oh, there is a marshaller. Look over there. He's standing in the tree. Okay, and that should be good over here. So, park and brake set, and now let's go ahead with the shutdown procedure. That's gonna be one of those things once again. Okay, so brake set, lights all off except for the beacon and the nav light. Then, instrument master switches. Just quickly gonna say thank you very much to the controller. Before we complete the shutdown procedure.
Takeoff 29 after departure Warsaw approach, 1 dzięki, dobrej nocki.
Antonov 3620 shutting down, thank you very much, good evening, enjoy your weekend. Okay, that's too busy. We're just gonna shut that down. And that's gonna be it. Don't want to annoy the controller as well, just by saying thank you. Okay, so that's off. The anti-ice system is off. Hydraulic pumps. Off. Fuel pumps. Actually, no, this needs to be on, but this needs to go off. And the bottom row is going off as well. Okay, that's set. Then APU generator is on and providing power. Engine generators off, and with that we are ready to shut down the airplane. Okay, that is 6 engines going off. Start panel is set. FADEC going off. Did I hit all of 6 of them? Yes, I did. Okay, very good. So, the engines are pretty much shut down. Lights going off. Transponder standby 2000. And then shutting down everything on the captain's and the FO's panel. Nav lights off. Okay, finally, let's turn off the power. ERU's off. Rectifiers off. And all that's left is the APU. So, APU bleed going off, APU master switch is going off, And with that, the APU will slowly shut down. So that's it. We've made our way all the way towards Warsaw. So thank you very much, everyone, for flying with me today. Now, let's see if I missed any comments on there on the way in. While the APU is still shutting down. TK, reverse lever extended. Yeah, indeed. I should have placed that into the upwards position prior to landing. I forgot to do that. So, let's see if we have any landing report. But, no, we don't. Unfortunately, Sim Toolkit didn't register the landing. Here's the proof. I'm not lying to you. So we'll just finish the flight up here. And that's got to be good enough then. Okay. APUs are shutting down. Fire detectors off. APU master switch off. And with that, we can also flick the batteries off. And that's gonna be it for this flight. Here we are. We've made it. So, let's see if there's anything that I missed earlier on. Indeed, from a Adobe Q. Amy, I have a question for you. Does your airline switch to climb thrust after takeoff, or do you use the climb D rates? Actually, we are using the climb D rates until we are cleared to climb above flight level 150. Once we're clear to 150 or higher, we are going to go to full climb thrust. And Rafael, do you have the Warsaw pairwise scenery? Yes, I do. And Automeme, yeah, you name. Oh, look at that! There's the Marshal, hiding in the woods. Initially he hid beyond that tree, and now he's running. Now he's trying to make an escape through the woods. See that? Good job. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today's live stream. Thank you very much, guys. I've slowly got to go to bed because I'm on standby duty tomorrow from a little bit earlier. And Rob H, you missed the real Antonov 225 pilot. His name was Vanish and he just vanished. Yeah, to be totally honest, I didn't react to it because it looked more like a troll to me than a real Antonov pilot. But, well, we're gonna keep it at that. Raphael, unfortunately my airline doesn't want me to mention their name because I'm not an ambassador for the airline. So, we've got to keep it at that. Thank you very much for flying, guys, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very, very soon. Until then, thank you very much, and have a good evening. As always, if you want to support the channel, you can do so using the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below, by leaving a super chat or super thanks, and of course by becoming a channel member, which is going to get you exclusive early access to new videos before they are released to the general public. But thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all again very soon.